Hello. Well, today I'm going to use my bread machine, and I'm going to make a bread that I thought I'd lost the recipe, but I found it. I'm going to make raisin cinnamon bread. Now, when I first learned how to do this, oh golly, probably, I don't know, 35 years ago, 40 years ago, I made it for Mart to take to work. Well, it wasn't like within, I don't know how many weeks, he gained 10 pounds eating this all the time. So now what I do with treats when I make them is I slice them or whatever and I package them and freeze them. Then he can just get one of something. So you might want to do that with this, because after you add that frosting on top, ooh, this is good. Okay, I have 1 cup plus 2 tablespoons warm water, 2 tablespoons butter softened, 3 cups of bread flour, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, 1½ teaspoons of salt. I'll be using 2½ teaspoons of yeast and 1 cup of raisins. Now, if you've used a bread machine, you know you don't add the raisins until you hear the beepity beep of your machine. My machine, you put the liquids in first, so I'll put the water and the butter in first. Well, I hope you can see in there. I turned on my top light so you could. Now I'm going to add first the water. You want to make sure it's warm, not hot, warm. Then I'm going to add the butter. I don't know why, but I just never got into kneading. My friends tell me, oh, it's so relaxing. And I'm like, I just want to get it done. The liquids are in here. I've got the butter and the milk in here. Next, I'm going to add the flour. When I measure flour, I will have, say I want a cup of flour, I'll have a smaller one to just kind of put it in there, and then I level it off. I don't tamp it down, I don't anything, just level it off. Otherwise you can end up with it's too dry in there because you really put in too much flour. Okay, let me put this in. All of your dry ingredients go in now. And then, like I said, the raisins when it beeps. There's a special cycle on your machine. There's a special cycle on your machine to add things. Let me level that off a bit. Here goes the cinnamon. You see how easy this is? And the sugar. Now I'm going to put the salt in. But I'm going to have a little lesson for the salt. You want to put the salt in the corners, because if it meets the yeast too soon, the yeast does not work, or at least not as well. So always put it in the corners. There. Now I'm going to put in the yeast. When I do the yeast, I make a little well in the middle. Just in the middle. And that's where I put my yeast. 1, 2. Every recipe can add for a different amount of yeast. Alright, that's all done. Each machine is different. If I were only going to make dough, I would go up here. But I'm going to do basic. There, that's on basic. I want a normal size loaf, which is 1½ pounds. And I do want a light crust. Now, I'm going to start this, and then, I don't know if it's 3/4 of the way through, it will beep and I will put in the raisins. Let me get this started. See, wasn't that hard? You've seen me make this simple frosting before. I have sifted some powdered sugar. I don't know, there's a 1.5 cups in there. You just kind of eyeball this stuff. I'm going to grab some of the butter. The goal is you want to see a few golden flakes in the butter when you're done. That'd be enough. Put in a little bit more. That should do it. And you just work it in. Now the tricky part is adding the milk. And then you're going to use some vanilla. Today I'm using a clear vanilla. This has a little less flavor than the dark brown vanilla, but your frosting stays white. The worst thing that happens is you put in too much milk and you have to add more powdered sugar. So let's try to get it the first time. A little milk goes a long way. See that? Still very loose. And if it is too loose, I'll show you how I fix it. Now this is getting in together pretty good. And now I'm going to add a little vanilla. Just a little. Half a capful for that amount. Sorry, but that turned out about perfect. Yep. You see it's not runny. You see that? Not runny, just a nice stiff frosting. If you wanted to make a glaze, of course, you'd add a little bit more milk to make it runny. There, that'll be good. I'm going to leave that until the bread is cool. Well, I set this outside to cool. It's been kind of cold out there and it cooled faster. So now I'm going to put my frosting on. You just put it on as you would frost a cake. I like to have some go down the side. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice this and put it in the freezer. And then Martin can take out a piece as he wants to. Let me finish this. There we go. This is all frosted. I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let it really cool down, and then I will slice it because I want the frosting to really cool down. Then it won't smear when I cut it. Well, this is done and it is beautiful. I've cut just a couple of pieces off. What I'm going to do is cut them in half and freeze them that way. So when Martin wants to grab a piece, he's not grabbing a huge chunk of this. But this is such a good recipe. Very simple. You don't have to put the frosting on the top, but that's what we're used to, so I do it. Very easy, very tasty. Freeze it so you don't eat it all at once, okay? Till next time, bye-bye.